Welcome back. This is Don Potter, and we are doing another lesson, lesson 39 for Beyond Basic Phonics, English Morphology 101. These are Romance roots, and this is number 5, so we're really moving ahead here. There are 3 of these, A, B, C. A is cred, which means to believe. So credit means you can believe it. You can credit somebody. If somebody claims they're Superman, they can fly, you can credit they are Superman. If they cannot fly, that would discredit them from being Superman. On the other hand, if they can fly faster than a speeding bullet and are more powerful than a speeding train, then that would accredit that they are indeed Superman, and the noun form of that is accreditation. When a school meets certain standards and has good teachers and good curriculum and the students do well, that school's said to have accreditation. It's been accredited. It has accreditation. A creditor is somebody who will loan you money. They believe you can pay back. It's like a bank. Credential, I have a driver's license that proves I can drive. I have my credentials, has my picture on it. Credible, that's somebody that can believe. And IBLE and ABLE both mean able, so credible. He's a credible person. He's a good mechanic. He fixes your car. You don't have to worry about it. He's a good teacher. Send your kid to him and they will learn. Incredible means not. Here, in has the idea of no, and IBL means able. So we have credible and we turn it around, and incredible is the negative of that. Next we have B. Now the second root we're looking at here is pen. It means to hang. So pending means that it's hanging in the air. They haven't decided yet whether they're going to do it or not. The decision is pending. A pendant is something somebody wears. A good example of pendant is something you wear around your neck. Maybe it has a picture in it or something that you really like. Very beautiful. Pendulum in a clock. You have a pendulum. It goes back, hangs down, a little weight on the end, a little like a circle, and it goes back and forth like that. Tick, 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 tick. That is a pendulum. Notice it's hanging down. Depend, when you depend on somebody, you expect them to do what they have said they are going to do, and they're able to do it. Dependent is someone who depends on someone else. For example, a child depends on its mother and its father for food, clothing, warmth, housing, education, love, and affection. Depended, that's just simply the past tense. They depended on their parents. Dependable means that you are able to depend on them. They will do what they should. And dependability is also the ability. You can depend on them because they are capable of doing what they claim they can do. Unfortunately, if they are not dependable, you can say, if they're not dependable, able to be dependent, you can say they are undependable. That means not dependable. Next one is independent, and that means that they don't need somebody else to help them. They're independent. Interdependent, on the other hand, means not only that you are dependent on them, but they are dependent on you. So you have to work together. And in a business, everybody's important. If you design a car, the guy that designed a car, that's very important. The guy that builds a car, wow, that's real important. But the person that advertises and sells the car, they're very important. And the person that services the car later is important. So they're all interdependent. Suspend is when you hang something down, okay? And next one is suspended. That's just the verb form. And then suspenders, maybe you've seen those. People wear suspenders that go down and hook onto their pants to hold them up. Compendium is a book that summarizes a bunch of facts. It's a compendium, so it's a short book that takes a lot of information. That you might have a series of books, and then you just sum them all up in one little book. That would be a compendium. You can have poems, for example, a compendium of my poems, and I've written quite a few. A compendium of my poems would be just a selection of my poems that shows how I write poetry. Okay, next we have 1, 2, 3 forms for the concept, the idea of to lead. The first one is duce, duck. The next one is duce, and the next one is duct. And you notice that C changed right here and became an S. We're going to look at that as we go through. duce, we have educate, all right? And to educate means to lead someone into knowledge. A teacher, an educator is someone who leads people to knowledge. That gives them at the noun form, education. Notice the education. Notice the long vowel there, educate in front of that. Some people call that a final stable syllable. Call it what you want. It's just T-I-O-N says shun, education, and it turns the verb into a noun. O-R is an agent, so an educator is someone, and notice the O-R here is not accented, and it kind of has the sound, educator instead of educator. The educator is someone who educates. Educative is something that you buy that will educate you. It's educative, and it's also said to be educational. Those two have similar meanings. Now the next one, notice here the C is going to have the S sound because of that E after it. So here we have deduce, and the E here is long at the end of a syllable. Deduce, and that's when you get all the facts together and you think about it and you deduce the conclusion. You come to conclusion. It leads you to the conclusion, so it's the idea of lead. Reduce is when you reduce something. You can reduce a fraction, you can reduce weight, and so on. Introduce, notice there we have intro, the O is long. Introduce, when you lead or you introduce somebody. Hello, I'm Mr. Potter. This is my father, Orson Potter. I'd like you to meet my father. Introduce. Induce is to lead in electricity. When you induce a current, you get the electricity to go through the wire, you induce. And then produce, when you produce, you make something produce. Number 3, you have a duct, and here again, the C in front of the T is going to make the K sound, and that's just the way our language works. So the first one we have conduct, and here we have the N. It's a camouflaged, it's one that can be camouflaged, but here it's not camouflaged. So con means with, so conduce means to lead with. So you conduce somebody, you lead them. OR is an agent. So here we have a conductor. So the conductor is going to lead you on a train. The conductor is going to welcome you on the train. In an orchestra, the conductor is going to do what? He's going to lead. I have my little baton here. He's going to lead the orchestra. He's going to conduct the orchestra. And my goodness, this can be used in all kind of things. Conductor is a wire that will let electricity go through it, and we could go on and on. Conduction is, for example, copper or a silver wire will allow for the conduction of the electricity through it. Deduction is when you take away. So if you have 50 and you take away 25, you have 25 left. That's a deduction. Kind of like reduction, it's a deduction. And then the noun form of deduct is deduction. So you have a deduction. Subduction is a interesting word. And the formal definition is a sideways or downward movement of the edge of the Earth's, a plate of the Earth's crust into the mantle beneath another plate. Okay, so the Earth is composed of layers, and so the subduction is when the layer underneath is moving like that. Okay, you'll study that in geology. Induce. When you induce a current, a generator will induce or create a current, lead to a current. Induction is when you have you have to get in electronics for some of this, but an induction, when you have two coils and the electricity from one is inducted and goes over into the other through the magnetic force there. Then you have now this is going to be a little bit different. This is an introduction. I would like to introduce you to my father. And so, again, it's a noun form. Aqueduct. Oh my goodness, this is really interesting. Aqua means water, and we'll be studying that when we study the Greek combining forms. And so an aqueduct is something that the water flows through. The Romans used to build these huge aqueducts, and that would bring water into their town, so because they were really into being clean and having good water to drink to be healthy. And so they had their aqueducts. Abduct is when this is not a good thing. Or usually not a good thing. If somebody steals somebody's child, that would be abduct, a very terrible thing. I suppose you could do it of anything. An abduction could even be of a pet or something. And an abductor is someone who steals something. Abduction, you probably heard of that before. Where that someone steals someone, and unfortunately perhaps someone's child, terrible thing, and we're going to teach people not to do that. Then we have reduction, and reduction here can be to slow something down or to lose weight. So if you want to reduce, you're going to lose weight. All right, that's this lesson, and wow, what a lot of stuff we've studied that's going to help you to improve your reading a whole lot. So you're going to be able to look at the roots and figure out the meaning of the word without going to a dictionary. And if you go to the dictionary, you're actually going to see these roots explained there also. Highly recommend using a dictionary to confirm what you think the word is from what you're able to deduce from the roots that you see in the words. All right, we'll see you for lesson 39, where we're going to look at sentences that are going to apply what we've learned in this lesson.